Back home, and humans may not be loving this lockdown, but it's a different story for our feathered friends. Scientists say New Zealand's birds are becoming more confident in their surroundings. Now they don't have to compete with cars, buses, trains, planes, and of course, people. Dr. Danielle Shanahan from Zealandia in Wellington says it's great to see. Katie Doyle reports.
It's a sound many of us have become accustomed to since the lockdown began, with more and more birds taking advantage of their newfound freedom. With less traffic on the roads and fewer people rushing around town, New Zealand's birds are flourishing.
One of the main things that people are noticing at the moment is just how vocal the birds are. They're not having to compete with the constant traffic noise. And as a result, we're hearing them much more, and they're certainly seeming much more abundant at the moment.
That's Dr. Danielle Shanahan from Zealandia in Wellington, an area of native bush home to a huge range of threatened and endangered bird life. She says the birds have become far more curious and adventurous since the lockdown began.
We have essential workers going into the valley to look after particularly our endangered wildlife that relies on supplementary food. And they're noticing that especially the young birds aren't encountering people as much. They're becoming extremely curious and checking out the ranges as they go about their daily tasks.
Ecologist Dr. Margaret Stanley from the University of Auckland says the increase in bird numbers may be due to drought conditions, forcing them to look for food in people's gardens. But there could be another reason.
And it might also just be that we are seeing birds because we're home. So, maybe there's not more birds around our backyards in our cities, but in fact we're actually just observing them more because we're around, we're walking around our neighbourhood, we're at home.
Dr. Stanley says the birds will be enjoying the decrease in noise, light and air pollution, along with slightly messier public parks, where maintenance has stopped. She says the real test will be to see if it lasts once the lockdown is lifted.
Will we go back to always driving our cars, or will be people maybe getting used to working at home and work at home a few more days a week? Might we be more acceptable of less maintenance by council around parks and gardens?
Forest and Birds Megan Hubsher says it's wonderful to hear birdsong in the lockdown, and she hopes it will make people appreciate the environment more. But she says not all birds are better off.
Seabirds in particular have not fully fledged yet. We've got a lot of seabirds still in their burrows and haven't learnt to fly or leave their nests yet. And those seabirds, like penguins, some shearwater around the country, are at imminent risk of being predated because trapping isn't occurring.
Forest and Bird, along with other conservation groups, is now calling on the government to prioritise the environment in its post-lockdown recovery plan. In an open letter, the groups say economic recovery should also work to tackle climate change, a decline in native species, poor fresh water quality and ocean stress. For Checkpoint, Katie Doyle.